Well, good afternoon. I'm Missoula Mayor John Engen, and it is the 7th of May already. With me today is my intrepid colleague from across Pine Street, Commissioner Josh Slotnick. And joining us today, our special guest, and we're grateful to have him here today, is Bradley Seaman, who's elections administrator for Missoula County and probably the busiest guy in Missoula right now. We've got some questions for Bradley, and he's got some answers for you, and that means this should work out really well. Commissioner, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So, Bradley, if I understand things right, according to the governor's order and our very own county commissioner's resolution, we are headed towards an all mail-in ballot, postage paid, I do believe, coming in June. So, when will ballots be mailed out, and how many of them, and when are they due back?
Yeah, absolutely. We're gearing up. Mail date is tomorrow. So ballots are going to mail to over 70,000 active voters in Missoula County tomorrow. We've got them all prepared and ready to go out through the Postal Service. And so voters can see them as early as Saturday, should start seeing all the majority of them beginning of the week next week. So with this new all-mail election, due to the governor's directive and the resolution from the commissioners, we're going to be all-mail, as well as every county across the state of Montana is going to conduct their primary election by mail. Now, this is really important because with an all-mail election, we won't have our polling places necessarily slated and open. All of them are due back by 8 p.m. on June 2nd. Postmarks do not apply in Montana.
Wow. All right. And postage paid.
Postage paid. Part of this was that we have applied a metered postage to every single envelope. So when you get that ballot, we want to make this easy on you. The postage has been metered on there. You're going to select your party ballot. You're going to vote that and drop it in the mail and be ready to go. In addition to the postage paid, we also, new this election, put in some I voted stickers. This was a really big area. It took a few extra steps. We had to make sure that we manually inserted these in there, but the number of ballots that get dropped off at the election center by voters who say, I wanted to make sure you got this, and I really wanted to get my I voted sticker. Yeah, so that way we could make sure that we were doing everything to help encourage voters. Maybe they'll get that, they'll see that I voted sticker and say, you know, I wasn't going to vote, but I sure want to wear this. I sure want to turn that ballot in. And if it means that voters aren't coming here to have contact with election staff and other personnel, it's going to be safer for everybody involved as well.
Hey, it's the little things, right? My I voted sticker. There's a lot to be said for that. Yeah. So we got I voted stickers. We've got return postage to make it easier for folks. You want people to mail them back, or do you want them to drop them off?
So really the big issue is that we're doing everything we can to minimize that person-to-person contact. You can drop off a ballot, but we're really encouraging, with that postage being metered on there, to put them in the mail. That's going to be the safest way to get these ballots back in. You just want to make sure that you're allotting enough time for USPS to deliver it to us. But if you do want to drop a ballot off, you can drop a ballot off at our election center. We're open normal business hours, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, anytime up until Election Day.
And can you drop off somebody else's, a neighbor or a spouse or something?
So you can drop off another person's ballot. However, we passed a law in 2018 which required a Ballot Interference Protection Act form, or a BIPA form. What this is something that is filled out by the person who's dropping the ballot off. So if I were bringing in your ballot, Commissioner Slotnick, I would fill out this form stating that I had brought your ballot in and signed that. It's not required if you're mailing a ballot in or if you're delivering just your own ballot. So it's only required if you're bringing in somebody else's ballot, and they're printed on the backside of the instructions to help make it really easy.
Okay.
So drop your ballot in the mailbox. That's the easiest thing to do, right?
That's definitely the easiest and safest way to help make sure that you get to vote in this important election coming up.
So folks are used to going to their polling places. They're used to going to a local school, community center, etc. On June 2nd, is that an option, Bradley?
That's the biggest change to this election. Polling places are not going to be open on June 2nd. ballots need to be returned either by dropping one off or through the postal service. Now, you can drop one off any day 8 to 5 at our offices here, except for on the weekends, any weekday from 8 to 5. And then on June 2nd, just on election day, we're going to have additional ballot drop-off locations. You won't be able to get a ballot at these locations, but you can drive through an open-air ballot drop-off where you will come through, and we'll have one at the fairgrounds where our elections office used to be located. We'll have one at Lolo School. We'll have one at Frenchtown Fire Station, one at Sealy Lakes Elementary, and one at Bonner Elementary. So that if you are a voter and you realize that you haven't yet mailed your ballot in, but maybe you don't live inside the city, we've really tried to cover our surrounding communities to help make sure there's a close location for you to get that ballot cast.
That's great. So with all this information, I just had to add, I'm going to add a little bit of levity here. And that when we were, I could pass this on to you, Mayor, this was new to me. When we were batting this idea around at the commissioners about should we go postage paid or not. And we were all about increasing voter access. That's entirely what it's about. But I thought, man, I'm going to try this idea out on some of the people around me. And, fortunately, there's some young people who are like 3 times as smart as I am. And they said, what do you think about postage paid? Or it's going to cost us this much money, or you get your own stamp. And some of the response back I got from some of the younger people who could write computer code and do 100 other things that I can't do, their response was, where do I get a stamp? So I thought, okay, right. This makes a lot of sense. So I think we're headed off in a new direction, semi-permanently, maybe permanently, just because of the way people work now.
Mm-hmm. And we had discussed this, and there are some other options that we can implement with a little bit more time. I don't think anybody across the state was really planning and expecting a pandemic to take place. No. But there are ways that we can do this that is an even better service for voters and a savings for taxpayers in the future.
Yeah. So we have an open primary. Can you kind of explain what that is, what that means for people?
Yeah. So we get this question a lot in our elections office. People come in from other states and they say, I'm ready to register and I want to register for this party. We don't track any party affiliation across the state of Montana. We're an open primary state, and what that means is you get each ballot you're eligible for. So for this upcoming election, you're going to get 3 or 4 party ballots depending on where you live.
Jeez.
So you will get every option available for you, and you need to pick the one party ballot, vote just that one ballot, and return it in the secrecy envelope. And then that ballot is counted. This is an added level of secrecy. So if we track party affiliation, we may be able to deem how you might vote in a November election. In November election, you can vote across party lines. You can vote in a lot of other ways. In the primary election, you can't vote for one candidate on one ballot and another candidate on another. Returning multiple ballots like that could invalidate your vote. So we really want to stress you're going to get every ballot you're eligible for, vote one and return that one. And new this year is, what do you do with that unvoted one? Well, you destroy it. We used to send out an unvoted party ballot envelope, but the legislature made an update to this law, and it's no longer required to send them back in, so we can have those destroyed by the voters at their house.
Great. I love that we're sanctioning destruction. It's good.
I can only imagine some alternative reuses for those unvoted ballots. Yeah, as someone who stands for election, I can only imagine one of the things that might happen there. So Bradley, given all of that, there are going to be some places where you're going to get a very thick envelope with a ton of ballots. Which districts, how many voters are going to experience that?
So Senate District 45 is the only Senate district in the state of Montana which had a statewide race for the Senate District 45, which was a Libertarian Party contested. So in that district specifically, and this district runs from the southern end of Missoula, it goes all the way over to Lolo and over to Clinton. It's a very large district. It covers anybody in House District 89 or 90. And so you can check that out at myvoterpage.com to confirm where you are. So myvoterpagemt.com will let you know that district, but they'll get Democrat, Republican, Green, and Libertarian Party ballots. This is going to impact around 12,000 voters out of our 70,000 voters. So it's a big chunk of Missoula County. And with those voters, they'll get the 4-party ballots and they'll be eligible to vote one of those ballots. And I heard you say it a little bit earlier too, and that's a good area to point out, is that every ballot that comes back to our elections office contains a barcode on that envelope. That barcode links you to your voter profile, and we check the signatures there. So when I heard you talking about those other things that you could do with that unvoted party ballot, a lot of the areas we're encouraging people to destroy them so that they can't be revoted. But if one of those ballots were picked up from your garbage can, it wouldn't be able to be accepted because it requires that signature to be checked. It requires that barcode to be scanned. So there's not that opportunity for extra ballots to come in.
Checks and balances. That's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
So Bradley, how are you going to keep staff and any voters who are dropping ballots off at the election center safe, given the world we're living in right now?
Absolutely. So this is very important, and this is why we're encouraging so many people not to wait and to vote that ballot by mail. Part of the governor's directive was that we will encourage social distancing. In our election center, what that means is we're going to do everything we can to maintain that 6-foot distance between voters, workers, and other voters in the building. So there'll be a limited capacity. We will only be allowing in enough voters to maintain that safe distancing, and we'll be monitoring as they come in. In the past, we've had either a building or a tent for voters to queue in, but due to these space capacities, we're going to have them queuing outside at the 6-foot distances. When a voter comes to check in, they'll present an ID, they'll fill out their required paperwork, and be given a pen to sign. They're then going to take that pen with them to go and vote their ballot later, so that we're limiting the amount of surfaces and areas that they're coming into contact with. And between voters, we'll be cleaning up all of our workstations as well as our voting areas. So we'll have people come in to clean those areas, sanitize them, and then let the next voter come in so that we can maintain a flow. This is going to be the best areas that we can, and we've been working closely with the City County Health Department on our plans for Election Day. But this is going to slow our process down. So this will mean that voters who appear on Election Day may see longer than normal wait times. And we really want to encourage them to either check on myvoterpagemt.com before the election, make sure their ballot's been cast, utilize the mail, or if it's coming up close to the election, come in beforehand. Come in that week beforehand when we don't have those longer lines and additional people to serve, because we can help get you a replacement ballot and give you an opportunity to vote it here in an area where it's not as compact with as many people and it doesn't risk that inner contact.
Great.
So Bradley, say I'm an unregistered voter in Missoula County and I want to vote. What do I do?
So the first thing that you'll need to do is you'll need to get a voter registration form. You can get one of those either online from our website, which is missoulavotes.com. You can download that form, fill it out, and mail it to us. Another part of the governor's directive really extended our late registration deadlines. Late registration means you need to appear in person, but since this is now the 27th of May compared to yesterday, the 4th, we're able to have voters register and get a ballot via the mail ahead of time. So they can either download that form, fill it out, sign it, and mail it back, or take a clear image, scan it, and send it back electronically, and we'll send you out that ballot packet to make sure that we're doing everything we can to get you that as soon as possible and with the least amount of contact as possible.
That's great. Thanks for all your good work, Bradley, and I can't imagine the stress and intensity in your office right now.
Well, you know, these are big elections. Every election is so important, and this is an area where we're really growing from our normal 70% absentee voters to now we're at 100%. So it's expanding our areas forward. And we've been working really hard to make sure our processes and getting ballots out to voters are safe for the workers who are helping prepare them, so that it's safe for our workers here, it's safe for voters, and then on Election Day, it's safe for people counting.
Great.
So Bradley, you have an audience of approximately 4 million people right now by virtue of this video. What are your top three pieces of advice for Missoula County voters?
So Number one, check myvoterpagemt.com. This takes you to the Secretary of State. You'll plug in your name and your date of birth, and it will tell you where you're registered, where your ballot's being mailed, and you can make sure that it says that you're active so that you can know that your ballot is coming to the right place. And it also will direct you to our office number if in case there's something that's wrong to help get it corrected. So check myvoterpagemt. When you get your ballot, don't wait. Send that ballot in. Vote that ballot so you can check online to make sure it has been counted. When we accept those ballots the next day online, it says that your ballot has been accepted and you'll know your vote is going to get counted on election day. So the second area is don't wait. And the third area that I would really stress for voters is do everything you can to keep your friends, families, and neighbors safe and healthy. And what that means is try and come in ahead of time before election day. If you are coming on election day, be prepared for a little bit of a wait, but we're all in this together. We all want to make sure that we are keeping friends, neighbors, families, election workers, and voters all safe and healthy.
And I think our greatest hope is with this all mail-in ballot, the number of people that feel the need to go will be really, really, really small.
And we may even see people whom, like I was before I started working elections, are die-hard polling place voters. Yeah. And they say, I like this process. I get my ballot early. I can research these candidates. With four-party ballots, there's a lot of information.
Yeah.
Well, that's terrific. Well, Bradley, thank you for taking time out of your day on a very busy day as part of a series of very busy days. We appreciate all that you do, and thanks for providing this information and the great service that you do to residents of Missoula County.
Super important work, and really appreciate your integrity, Bradley.
Thank you. I'm honored to do this, and thank you guys for inviting me to talk today.
You bet.
All right.
See you later.